Subtle results, still you, but with fewer lines. Botox Cosmetic, out of botulinum toxin A, is a prescription medicine used to temporarily make moderate to severe frown lines, crow's feet, and forehead lines look better in adults.
Effects of Botox Cosmetic may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness may be a sign of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Don't receive Botox Cosmetic if you have a skin infection. Side effects may include allergic reactions, injection site pain, headache, eyebrow and eyelid drooping, and eyelid swelling. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Tell your doctor about medical history, muscle or nerve conditions including ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects. For full safety information, visit BotoxCosmetic.com or call 877-351-0300.
See for yourself at BotoxCosmetic.com.
Hello and welcome to the British English Podcast, the show all about British culture and British English and British history, of course. And today we'll be looking at one of the most fascinating periods of British history, the reign of Elizabeth I. She apparently ruled for 45 years, oversaw England's rise as a global power, and left behind a cultural legacy that still influences us today. But was her reign really the golden age that it's often called? To explore this, I'm joined by Ben, that I met down under. I'm back in Australia right now. I flew all the way to Australia to record this with Ben. Welcome back. Hello.
Hello again. And we're back in the same space that we were in last time.
It's like time stood still.
Yeah.
It's like nothing happened.
It does feel like yesterday that we were in here doing the Athelstans and the...
Yeah.
Richard the Lionheart and all that.
Yeah, and before that, we did it we did the podcast in my apartment in Balmain.
It was the podcast we did in your apartment, all right?
Yeah.
Let's just be clear.
And it was about the Great Stink.
Just the podcast.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Great Stink and the Great Fire of London as well.
Yeah.
All the greats. Great Britain. It's so arrogant, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. It's in the name.
It is, yeah.
That's why you call yourself Great Charlie.
Only to you.
Yeah. When I first met Charlie, he came up and I said, hey, I'm Ben. How you going? He said, hey, I'm Great Charlie. I said, what? He said, Charlie. I said, did you just say Great Charlie? He said, no.
No, you said, how are you? I said, I'm great. Charlie.
Yeah, okay.
No. It's not a true story. All right. So why did you choose the Elizabethan era? It's a bit of a tongue twister, actually, as well. Why did you choose the Elizabethan era as a topic of interest for our listeners today?
Well, because we've done all the other ones, haven't we?
No, I've been listening to an audiobook by David Mitchell.
David Mitchell,
and he's got about 20 chapters of each different kings and queens. There's been a lot of them, but we've skipped about 15.
Of course, I joke.
Yes.
The real reason I chose the Elizabethan era is because it's, like you said in your wonderful introduction, it's a golden age of English history. Probably maybe the most important era of English history. It's the era where we see England rise from a strong power in Europe, a developing power, into basically the preeminent power in Europe. It's the era that we see England finally take on all the best aspects of the Renaissance. Develop its own culture and its own art and music and theatre. It's the era that we see the British economy explode. It's also the era that we see England do some other things like colonisation. They begin their process of colonisation, which led to them owning over a quarter of the Earth's surface.
Greedy, very greedy. We're just going to take a break from these greedy colonisers to tell you that this episode comes with a free worksheet available for you to download that covers the intermediate to advanced vocabulary that comes up in the conversation, along with some quizzes to help you get active with them, which, according to research, 3x's your likelihood of actually remembering the language when you want to use it next yourself. So you can grab that by clicking the link in the show notes, description, or pinned comment below. Or if you're listening to this in the first week of it being published, then simply head to thebritishenglishpodcast.com and you'll see a little pop-up on the first page you go to. That's thebritishenglishpodcast.com. All right, let's get back to the conversation.
A message from McAfee.
I'd say howdy, but I'm not a real cowboy.
And I'm not a real alien.
We're deep fakes, and because of fakes like us,
It's hard to tell what's real.
unless you have McAfee. McAfee's scam detector automatically identifies text and email scams.
And even deepfake.
And it works everywhere, even out on the range.
But you're not even a real cowboy.
If they're faking it, they're not making it past us. Get award-winning scam detection today. McAfee.com/keepitreal.
Greedy.
That's a lot there. Is there any that you would particularly like to experience if you were able to jump in a time machine?
Well, yeah, I was thinking about this. I think that if I was to go back and experience one thing, then I would have to go to the Globe Theatre and throw tomatoes at the actors with a Shakespearean play going on. That would be, the wealthy were in the upper seats, but I would like to be in the pits with the, with the lower classes.
With your mates.
Yeah, launching tomatoes.
So they were able to lob tomatoes up at the rich people?
No, at the actors on stage.
At the actors.
Yeah.
They were actually allowed to?
Yeah.
Or it was like throwing a bottle in a festival?
Look, I don't know the exact intricate nature of it, but I think it was like they definitely threw fruit and tomatoes and things like that. And I think it's when a villain came out and they were into it and they hated the villain, they'd throw fruit at the villain.
I suppose, like, in comparison to stoning Sundays, it's quite comfortable to experience a bit of fruit flying.
Yeah, that's right. So if we push the pendulum a bit further over, this seems like nothing.
Yeah.
Modern day,
It's a tomato.
Yeah, in the modern day, it would be, oh my God, that you just hit me with a tomato. But back then, it's a tomato.
Yeah. It was just like tutting behind somebody in a queue.
I wouldn't have liked to play the villain, that's for sure.
No. Oh, yeah, that'd be terrible. Okay, so let's see. The making of a queen. Should we start with Elizabeth's rise to power and how she ended up on the throne?
Yeah, sure. So basically, let's start with King Henry VIII. We have a podcast on that too, if you want to have a listen to it. Nice little
bloody good one.
Yeah, there you go. See what I'm doing there? So King Henry VIII, Elizabeth was basically the daughter of Henry VIII and his second wife, Anne Boleyn. As we know...
I would say Boleyn.
Boleyn.
Anne Boleyn.
Yes.
Yeah.
And as we know, Henry had 6 wives. He had children with several of them. And so
But never a son.
No.
Or did he?
No, Edward. Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, after Henry died, Edward came to the throne.
Right.
He was a 9-year-old and he died at 15.
I shouldn't laugh. That's awkward. Sorry, Edward.
Yeah, and Elizabeth and Mary were half sisters, also born to Henry. So when Edward died, the throne went to Mary, and Elizabeth was born to Anne Boleyn, and Mary was born to Catherine of Aragon.
The Spanish lady.
The Spanish queen, yes.
Yes.
And basically, Mary idolized her mother and believed it was her duty to follow her faith. And Catherine of Aragon, being a Spaniard, was, of course, a Catholic. So Mary was a staunch Catholic.
Staunch Catholic.
And
I love that word.
Staunch. Yeah, that's a good one.
Staunch Catholic.
So basically, Mary came to the throne.
Yeah.
She was the older of the half-sisters. Then Mary was a Catholic. And then when Mary died several years later they believe it was cancer, then Elizabeth came to the throne. But something very important here to note in terms of Elizabeth's reign.
Yeah.
This is a religious aspect. So because Mary was a staunch Catholic, she turned England back to Catholicism. Now, you might not know that King Henry VIII was the first king who actually separated England from the Catholic Church and created the Church of England.
They would if they listened to our podcast about it.
Yes, and they can do that. And so King Henry created the Church of England. Mary, and then Edward continued it. And then Mary, when she came to the throne, she reverted England back to Catholicism. And she's known as Bloody Mary for all of the burning of Protestants at the stake.
Nasty. So she was like, okay, you've been Protestant. I'm going to change the rules. And if you're not instantly on my side, I'm going to burn you. Yeah,
she burnt over 300.
Oh, I'm disappointed by that number. I can't believe that.
Can I be honest? I was largely disappointed by it too.
Obviously, for the wrong reason. No, for the right reasons, I'm disappointed by it. But I'm surprised, shall we say, that it was only 300.
So was I. I was thinking 10,000.
Yeah,
something
but
like
I
that.
suppose the terror that brings to the people is like, oh my God, okay, I better give up my Protestant belief.
Well, she became known as Bloody Mary. So I guess the spectacle of it was pretty fearsome to see someone being burned alive. I mean, most people got hanged, Elizabeth would hang people, but burning alive was set aside for the worst of the worst. I mean, that was a public display, barbaric,
God.
So she got that nickname.
Yeah. I know we've had some ups and downs recently, but I'm so happy to be alive now.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine being alive just before the Renaissance? In the Dark Ages, you died just before the Renaissance.
And the Renaissance brought a lot of medicine, or not really?
No, just a lot of cultural ideas and freedom of expression and education.
Okay.
But we'll get into that.
Yeah, we will. So religion was a huge source of conflict in England at the time, as you've just kind of said. Mm-hmm. Can you briefly explain what was happening with the Reformation before Elizabeth took the throne?
Yeah, so basically the Reformation was occurring in Europe, broader Europe, including England.
Yeah.
But mostly in broader Europe, and that was basically the Protestant church trying to move away from the Catholic Church.
Yes.
It was a big divide. Without going into it too much, the Protestants believed that the Catholic Church was not pure enough and wasn't worshipping God properly.
Okay.
And so they wanted to worship him with a pure faith.
Okay. And so this is kind of the royalty at the time, and a lot of the nation were behind this movement, would you say?
No, I'd say England was mostly Catholic when it was, it was Catholic for so long until Henry changed it.
Yeah. But do you reckon some of them were like, oh, we can divorce now? That's pretty good.
Yeah, probably. There's some benefits, but the Puritans in England were crazy. They were worse than the Catholic Church in a lot of respects.
Right.
I mean, they had some rules, man.
Okay, they had some rules.
So you had these subsects as well of Protestantism, different levels of Puritanism, basically.
Okay.
But so Elizabeth, when she came in, she reversed what Mary had done, which was to try and make England Catholic again, and she brought back the Protestant church, the Church of England of her father.
But she didn't do it in the same way, did she? She did it in a more sort of mellow sort of, you can if you want, but you don't have to.
That's right. So what she did, essentially, the reason that Elizabeth's part of why her reign is considered so successful is the way that she dealt with this religious divide in England, this Reformation. She basically created a new Church of England that straddled the line between the Catholic Church and the Protestant Church. She sort of took a little from column A and a little from column B and made a compromise in the middle.
And the people responded well to that, or they were like, well, what are we then?
Well, when we look at how well the people responded to it, you have to look at it over a broader period of time. So it would have been quite difficult for a long time, and there would have been a divide for a long time. But you look and see that as an historical context, it became the foundation stone for what England is today, the way that the church is run today. Everyone, in England is under the same. They're Protestants, So
yeah, but I suppose also history is written by the rulers and the victors and the victors. But as in, I'm meaning the people of the day probably weren't able to write too much history about it all. Like they weren't necessarily writing how happy they were.
Yeah, so there would have been a period for sure where they were not happy.
Yeah.
But if you look at England today, you can see a pretty solidified church.
Okay. And when Elizabeth took over, how did she handle this religious divide?
So she basically she did this. I'll give you some of the things she did. So she took back the supreme authority over the church, which was the fundamental thing that Henry VIII did, which is where the Pope is in charge of the Catholic Church, and England had to listen to a lot of what the Pope said. Now the monarch was in charge of the Church of England, so they could make all the decisions without having to refer to Rome.
Dangerous.
Yeah, well, it gave her a lot of control to do all of the things that she wanted to do in this, which was crucial.
Yeah.
So and she retained a lot of Protestant doctrines with some of the Catholic traditions mixed in there. So this was done with, for example, a book of prayer, while emphasizing Protestant ideas like the importance of scripture and rejecting transubstantiation. Ugh, that's a mouthful.
That's a big word.
That's the Catholic belief in the literal transformation of the Eucharist.
Okay.
She retained traditional elements of the Catholic Church, like the structure of worship, the use of liturgy, and the sacraments of baptism and communion, which were familiar to Catholics.
Right.
So she rejected the papacy, but kept things like sacraments, the role of bishops, Catholic symbols, such as the cross and so forth, and candles and the altar and all that sort of stuff. So when a Catholic came into the new church, they felt very at home.
Oh, okay. Because there was a bit of candlelight.
Yeah, just the symbols they were used to and the tradition they were
I
used to.
remember that. Hopefully they didn't burn down. That would be awkward, wouldn't it? Well, you brought the bloody candle back.
Great Fire of London.
Yeah. Oh, no. No, that was in a bakery. All right. England's religious shifts in this period were dramatic. Do you think Elizabeth's religious compromise was truly successful in the long term?
Yes, I do. I think that it's generally accepted that Elizabeth was the leading figurehead in creating a system whereby Protestants and Catholics could live together.
Okay.
She was the first person to really settle that that really heavy divide.
Yeah.
And create a unified church. I mean, that was one of the fundamental things that she did in her reign.
Well played. Well played, Elizabeth. Lizzie, can we?
Yeah. And we see the church today. I mean, you would say, well, now England's a lot more multicultural, but you would say that England up until recently has been basically under one church. There's very few Catholics in England.
Yeah. I actually went to a Catholic wedding the other month in Birmingham.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the most extravagant, huge building. And I commented on that. And somebody said, well, that's because Henry VIII took all the big ones. I was like, what do you mean? He was like, well, when he changed the religion, he stole all of the impressive Catholic big churches. So all the Catholics had to find a new home.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Ah, so he took the biggest churches for the Church of England.
Yeah.
Well, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon Business. We could all use more time. Amazon Business offers smart business buying solutions, so you can spend more time growing your business and less time doing the admin. I can see why they call it smart. Learn more at amazonbusiness.com.
Doesn't that lead on to a fact you said about how the gentry, they were fueled by Henry VIII's death, and therefore loads of properties were released?
Yeah, we could talk about that. So one of the main reasons for the golden age during this period was England's prosperity and economic strength and growth.
Yeah.
And one of the benefactors of this growth period economically was the rising class of the gentry. Now, the gentry were the non-noble landowners.
Non-noble?
Non-aristocratic landowners.
Okay, so they were just landlords.
Yes, they were a class of people who owned vast tracts of land, and they were quite high in the social hierarchy.
Yeah, of course, you own land.
Yeah, so England was basically, at this time, extremely rigidly socially hierarchical.
Yes.
So you had the royalty followed by the aristocracy and nobles, followed by the gentry, landed gentry, followed by the landowners, farmers, yeomen farmers, tenants, and then the workers.
That was brilliant. That was really good summary. I like that a lot.
Oh, yeah.
I followed that whole ladder.
Oh,
that was great. Well done.
Great.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You can drop the mic now and leave.
I'll see you later. You get your own way home, yeah. So basically, the gentry, this was a class that benefited tremendously during this period, and they're a very important class of people, and we'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah.
But basically, when Henry VIII dissolved the monasteries in England after he split from the Catholic Church,
Yeah.
that freed up about a quarter of the land in England.
Right.
These lands were purchased by the wealthy gentry, which was a smaller class then.
Yeah.
As they owned more lands, they made more money, and the class itself grew and grew and grew.
Yeah. And I know we're probably jumping 200 years, but did that fuel the stately home kind of vibe?
Yes. So the landed gentry, if you look at something like Pride and the Prejudice,
Yeah.
you look at Mr. Darcy and Mr. Bingley,
Yeah.
they're not, I don't believe they're aristocrats. I believe they are landed gentry. They are noblemen. It's a little misty here. I think they're noble, but they own vast tracts of land, but they're not part of the peerage, I don't think.
Okay. Have you ever heard of Lord Portman?
No, I have not.
Damn it. He owned Marylebone, or like created that area.
Oh, yeah.
And he is my dad's great granddad.
No.
I just learned that this week.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I just need to add another great on there, and that's mine.
Wow. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. Because you're a great. So, yeah, that's.
Yeah, I am great, aren't I?
Yeah.
Finally, I get to understand why I constantly introduce myself as great.
That's why you sound so posh.
Yes, darling. Yes.
Yeah. So
anyway.
smooth.
So the next thing that we need to talk about with Elizabeth's era was England's naval strength, particularly during the battle between the Spanish, called the Spanish Armada. So it became a major naval power. And like, how did that happen? Did she just like invest a load of money in it, or was there another reason behind it?
The economics behind that are quite multifactorial and complex, but basically it is a spiraling upwards of a growing economy. It's like it's a self-feeding, self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
The English were building ships to defend themselves against the Spanish and other seafaring powers.
Yeah.
As they built the ships and explored, they increased their trade, increased their money. They were very successful at this. Then they built more ships. Then they became so powerful on the sea that they started raiding Spanish ships. Raiding Spanish colonies. And there were even these people called privateers, which were basically pirates who were paid by the crown to go out and raid Spanish and Portuguese ships and colonies.
If Captain Jack Sparrow just spoke to a royal member and they got him on his side, he would be a legal... He would be a civil servant.
That's right. And they were called privateers, but they were given the permission by the crown to act as pirates and raid other colonies and ships and things like that.
And they did that for a long period of Elizabeth's era, right?
Yes.
And Philip II was married to Mary before. Mm-hmm. Mary dies.
Yes.
And then as soon as she dies, apparently he didn't visit her on her deathbed. She was dying for a week and he didn't get to her bedside. But he did propose to Elizabeth within that next week. And Elizabeth rejected his proposal. So to snub her, he invaded 30 years later.
30 years later.
Yeah. Still...
That's a broken heart right there.
Yeah. 30 years of pain.
Yeah.
But maybe he was building the 130 ships for those 30 years.
Well, look, that might have been one of the emotional reasons. There were some other factors involved there. So basically, Spain at the time was England's biggest rival.
Yeah.
And Spain certainly saw England as a rising threat. And
I would be annoyed if Elizabeth had been like, yeah, go on then, raid them legally.
Yeah.
If
so,
I was Spain and that my ships were being sunk.
100%. I mean, England was incredibly provocative. I mean, they were raiding the Spanish colonies, raiding their ships. England were little shits.
Yeah.
They were just going around pissing off the... every single Spanish person, every single Spanish captain, every single Spanish colonier that they could find. Colonist.
Little
colonier.
shit Britain.
Yeah, little shit Britain. Running around like the toddler at the party, just destroying everything. And so, all the raiding. And then there was also, I believe, the Spanish had the Dutch under their control as a colony, and the Dutch fought back, and I think England supported the Dutch in that, which really pissed them off. And then there was also the issue of the Catholic-Protestant divide. The Spanish crown wanted England to revert back to Catholicism as it was under Mary.
Yes, so they were like, okay, if we go in, take over and bring... who was her cousin that she kept imprisoned, but a nice prison?
Oh, are you talking about Mary, Queen of Scots?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is really confusing. But Mary the and Mary the Queen of Scots were two different Marys.
Yeah.
And Elizabeth, after Mary the died, Elizabeth knew the threat of the Spanish Armada and knew that the Catholics wanted the Mary Queen of Scots to try and take over, potentially.
Yes.
So she imprisoned her in a nice little place and then was told to kill her.
Yeah, well, the royal court in England surveilled Mary Queen of Scots for years and uncovered a plot to assassinate Elizabeth.
Yeah,
and so she locked her up.
Yeah, and then eventually was like, we've got to get rid of her.
Yeah.
Because if she got out,
she really had to shut. I mean, there was a lot of, like I say, she was navigating some pretty fierce waters there with the religious divide.
Yeah, David Mitchell summed her reign up as cautious. She was a cautious lady. And that was partly why she was known as Virgin Mary, because she didn't want to take a husband that was like egotistic and mental and just beheaded her and then took the power for himself. So she was a bit like, She was a very intelligent ruler. Yeah.
The other thing is...
do you think she was a virgin?
No.
Oh.
No, I don't. I think she had a lot of...
That's a bit too sure.
Yeah, no, I would doubt it. I would doubt it. I think that was a very clever outward projection. She never took a husband, but I would say she definitely had love interests at court, and that's known.
Okay.
And there's no way they wouldn't have snuck into a bedroom a couple of times.
Nice.
Charlie, I want you to imagine you're the young virgin queen. And then...
I thought you were going to say Lord Portman.
Sir Walter Raleigh comes back. Raleigh comes back from his expeditions.
Oh, we didn't talk about him. Let's talk about him now.
I was going to mention one more thing.
Go on.
You asked before about how long did the divide between the Catholics and the Protestants last?
Yes.
It continued for a while. An example of that is King James after Elizabeth. You remember that Guy Fawkes and the gunpowder plot? Mm-hmm. That was the Catholics trying to blow up the Protestant king, and that was well after Elizabeth was dead. So it did continue on for some time.
Yes,
Just thought I'd mention that since we were talking about plots.
Very good, very good. Guy Fawkes, remember the 5th of November.
Yes.
So Walter Raleigh, he was a bit of a naughty boy on the seas, not just because he was a privateer, a legal pirate, but he also set up some very naughty stuff, didn't he? Or he was one of the three main people during this era.
Yeah, so Raleigh was basically given a royal charter from Elizabeth to basically go out, set forth and sail out into the seas and colonize all the non-Christian lands.
Only Murders in the Building, Season 5.
The hit Hulu original is back.
The night Lester died, he was talking with this mobster.
Was he killed in a hit?
We need to go face to face with the mob. Get ready for a season.
Buongiorno, signore.
Oh, this is how I die.
You can't refuse.
You're going to save the day, like you always do, by being smart, sharp, and almost always by mistake.
The Hulu original series, Only Murders in the Building, premieres September 9th. Streaming on Hulu and Hulu on Disney Plus for bundle subscribers. Terms apply. New episodes Tuesdays.
Right.
Yeah. And through this, he ended up settling what is now North Carolina. And I don't know how you say this. I think it's Roanoke Island.
I've got the pronunciation of that word coming in. Roanoke. Roanoke. Wow. That's
Roanoke.
how Americans would pronounce that word.
Right.
Roanoke. Roanoke.
But that's now North Carolina. But at the time, he named this colony in North America, in USA, Virginia, which it's not now, but he called it Virginia after his Virgin Queen, in honor of his Virgin Queen.
There you go, Virginia, yeah.
Yeah.
But Virginia's a place in America still, like West Virginia.
Yeah, I guess they took that name maybe and then transposed it into a new area or something. I'm not 100% sure about exactly the history of that. But so Walter Raleigh, yeah, he basically was a key figure in colonization.
Yeah, along with Mr. Drake.
Then we've got Hawkins and Drake. So we've got John Hawkins and Sir Francis Drake. John Hawkins was basically the very first Brit to engage in the Atlantic slave trade.
Okay.
So between 1562 and 1567, Hawkins and his cousin Drake, they made 3 trips to West Africa and captured over 1,300 African people. And then what they did was they created a thing called the triangular trade, which became a trading route for the English, very famous. So what they would do is they'd sail to West Africa, buy the slaves, then travel across west to the West Indies, which is, it's like Jamaica and that area on the coast of the Caribbean.
And is it called West Indies because they thought they were going to sail to India?
I don't know. I think that is possible.
Yeah.
It's west of India. Maybe they thought of it like that.
It's east. Well, it depends where your compass is.
Well, it's a globe, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all east.
I don't know. Maybe they just considered that area like India, but to the west or something.
Yeah. Like native Indians, like how we say native indigenous people of America, North America, they labeled them as native Indians, didn't they? And I think that was because they were so adamant that they were in India.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not sure. That's something to look up.
Don't quote me, guys. But
it's certainly west of England.
Yes.
So I think that kind of, if you're using England as the midpoint, you can draw the west part of it to the conclusion for that. Yeah. So what they would do is you imagine a triangle, England down to West Africa. So you're going south to West Africa.
Yeah.
And then you cross west over to the West Indies in the Caribbean. And they basically sold the slaves to the Spanish colonies who controlled that whole area, Cuba and, all that.
So Spain had already colonized that area.
They were way ahead of the English on the colonization.
Okay. And then, so England came over with slaves and they were like, can we sell you these people?
Yeah. For their cotton plantations.
And did Spain
and sugar
know that they needed slaves? Like, was that a thing already? Slavery?
I believe so, yeah, because there were already black on black slavers. So the African tribes who had captured other tribes in warfare would capture them as slaves and then sell them to Europeans.
Oh, I see.
So I believe it was a well-established trade.
Right, okay.
But also, of course, the Englishmen, Drake and Hawkins captured Africans separately.
Right.
Just free Africans they would capture separately as well. So.
And was it just Africa?
Yeah, West Africa, yeah.
Yeah, they didn't go elsewhere?
No, not for slaves, no.
Not then.
No, not then. And then, so once they took it across to the West Indies and the Caribbean, they'd sell them there, and then they would pick up cotton, sugar, and tobacco. They were the 3 primary.
And maybe a pineapple or 2?
Yeah. Oh, well, you can tell us about that. And they would bring that back to England. That created what was called the triangular trade.
Yeah, right. Okay.
The famous
triangular trade. So England down to Africa, over to the West Indies, drop the people off, pick up the commodities back over to England to sell the sugar and cotton.
Yeah, and they brought, sugar. All the sugar was new to England.
And is this is this the main reason why England's economy was booming off the back of treating people horribly?
One of. I mean, there were even greater trade routes opened up during this period. We can talk about that with Sir Francis Drake.
Yeah, okay.
So Drake, although he went with Hawkins on these slave pickup trips, he went a little bit further, or a lot further. He was actually the very first Englishman to circumnavigate the globe, the second person ever, after Ferdinand Magellan, I think that's how you say it, who was a Portuguese explorer who did it first.
Right.
Drake was basically given a charter to go out and raid Spanish colonies. And he basically ended up circumnavigating the globe, and he discovered direct routes to India and the Far East.
Now, was he the first person to understand the importance of sauerkraut? to avoid scurvy.
I've not heard this.
I don't know. I know that sauerkraut became very popular on the seas because of that reason, because it lasted a long time,
right?
And it gave them the sustenance that they needed. But you know, the idea that scurvy was a huge problem at sea because they didn't get the fresh stuff. So you don't know that.
Is that how sauerkraut was created?
I don't think it was created because of that. I think it was a realization that something like that would serve them well over time.
Yeah.
And I think he was also part of the reason why we have biscuits today. Because, well, the need to keep food for a long period of time, that was kind of why we've got biscuits today.
Oh, right. So it was the compacting of flour and various things that you need into a solid, dried out block, so to speak, that you could just eat.
Yeah.
That's why biscuits, old English biscuits are so disgusting.
Because
that's why
they've been around for 400 years.
They always give you a tea with biscuits, right? It's really, you think, I'll have a biscuit with my tea. The reality is you're having a tea with your biscuit because you can't even breathe when you're eating some of those.
What do you mean?
You know, you're eating to a sayo or something like that and you go,
what's a sayo?
Oh, maybe that's Australian.
How'd you spell it?
S-A-O.
S-A-O.
It's a tricky one.
Sword Art Online. That sounds Brazilian. S-A-O.
Sayo biscuit. Type that in.
Nope.
It's truly the driest. I've never eaten something so dry.
Just a cheese cracker?
No, it's not. It's just flaky dryness.
Yeah, that is one of those
water biscuit.
The challenges.
You know, they call it a water biscuit. I reckon it's got negative water. There's no element in the universe that would have less water than a fucking sayo.
Why do you think they're called water biscuits?
So, because you have to have water with them.
Really?
I'm guessing.
No.
I honestly think you could choke to death on a sayo without water.
I'm Googling. The name water biscuit comes from its simple ingredients, flour and water, without any added fat like butter or oil.
I call bullshit that there's any water in that. It's just not possible.
Yeah, but they bake it.
Bake every last morsel out of it.
We're actually going to leave this episode here as we have a lot more to cover. And don't worry, we don't keep talking about water biscuits for another 30 minutes. We have more to discuss about Sir Francis Drake, the Silk Roads, and much, much more. So yes, I'm splitting this into 2 episodes, meaning you'll obviously want to keep your eyes peeled for part 2 of this conversation that will be released soon after this one. But I hope you've enjoyed part 1 of this conversation. Ben doesn't know this is split into 2, so we can't say goodbye to him right now, but let's all thank Ben for his fantastic voluntary research on British history for our gain. And remember that this episode comes with a free worksheet to help you better understand the intermediate to advanced vocabulary that came up, along with quizzes to help you get active with them, which, yes, 3x's your likelihood of actually remembering the language when you want to use it next yourself. So grab that by clicking the link in the show notes or pinned comment below, or if you're listening to this in the first week of it being published, then simply head to the BritishEnglishPodcast.com and you'll see it pop up on the first page you go to. That's the BritishEnglishPodcast.com. Then, of course, if you wanted to unlock the full back catalogue of full-length episodes with transcripts, glossaries and flashcards, then check out the Premium Podcast. And if you wanted all of that, plus a weekly learning structure that includes 2 weekly Zoom calls with me and a Sunday speaking club to get super active with your studies and just generally have a laugh with a lovely community of like-minded people, then you'll want to check out The Academy. But that's all for this one. Have a nice week. My name is Charlie, the host of your favourite show, the British English Podcast. Bye for now.